Hey everyone, Raj here, and welcome back to another episode of the Saloon Podcast with your host and co-host as usual,
What
myself
up?
and Burner. um, this time around, we're going to be discussing an old nostalgia game that Burner and I used to play for the PC.
And also on 64 and PS1, but
Yeah, but mostly we're focusing on the PC version. But we're going to be talking about Lego Racers. This is a very, very old racing game that came out in about, I'd say it's mid to late 90s, I think.
I think
And
it
it's
was 1999 or 2000.
oh yeah, never mind. Very late 90s then, my bad. So very late 90s, and it's, oh, okay. Uh, right. It came out in the 90s, very late 90s, and it it wasn't really like any other racing game at the time because of how it handled its power-ups and how it handled uh its gameplay as well. Specifically the specifically its power-ups though. In
Yeah,
terms of how its power-ups would work, is that you'd start off with, I think, with like 4 different colored bricks. You'd have green, yellow, blue, and red. Blue would give you shields. Red would give you projectiles. Yellow would give you traps that you could lay behind you that your opponents could run into. And green gives you boosts. And there's also white bricks that you can stack on top of the green ones. Or I think it was the other way. I'm not sure. But you also had a set of white bricks, and the more white bricks you'd get, uh, stacked on top of the colored brick that you have, the more powerful it'd get. So for green, you'd have like a traditional turbo boost. You'd have a slightly more powerful turbo boost. Then you'd be able to fly with like the third level, and then by the time you hit the fourth level, you're literally able to warp halfway through the stage or through the track. And I'm not joking when I say that. It gets that insane.
but
So
a good way that everything is balanced is that anytime you run into a projectile, whether that be through an enemy or yourself, you lose one of your white breaks. So it's perfectly balanced in that regard. Do you want to use your low power stuff now and not have anything more powerful for later, or do you want to save up your white breaks or and then have the potential to lose them later on? It's kind of a nice balancing act in that regard, and I really like that.
yeah, as you know, you could potentially get shot down by any of your opponents within the track, i.e., any of the other racers. So there's it's kind of like a risk reward sort of thing, I think.
And as we know, we
So
love risk reward stuff.
yeah, but aside from the power ups, there are also they're like the way how it goes about its tracks too are kind of unique. I feel
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really have. I mean, actually, I wouldn't say it's too unique, but I think at the time it was unique.
Yeah.
Um, you have stages that ranged from pirate-esque, from like a pirate-esque looking harbor. You had um a space station. You had some sort of ancient what's the word I'm looking for? Like an ancient,
Temple.
yeah, ancient temple. You had all sorts of you had like all sorts of different, tracks that ranged in terms of like theming and stuff. Like it always varied. It was crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Um, and I like that. It at the time it was very unique. I don't think I've really seen very many games that did that. There was also a medieval-esque stage too. That was cool as well.
Yeah.
And then you had like a freaking you had like an ice planet themed stage, which was insane.
Yeah.
You could assume that took place on Pluto or something.
For all the one thing that is living on Pluto.
Yeah.
We
So that
shout out to that one thing living on Pluto listening to this episode right now, by the way.
yeah, but you had a good amount of variety. Only
Yeah.
problem was after around the fourth cup, I think, or like the fourth Grand Prix. Uh, you just end up getting a mirror mode of all the pre-existing stages you've done in those four cups or four Grand Prix, which kind of sucks. Not gonna lie,
Uh-huh.
that's a missed opportunity for more themes, but it's whatever,
It
you
is
know.
it is a licensed game after all. They didn't have to put all the effort that they did anyway, so but even still
That's
a little sorry?
no, go on.
Yeah, but a lack of variety does hinder the game in the long run, but if you're willing to sit through the ride, it's a nice rewarding experience that we feel is like unlike any other racing game cuz me and Mirage have played our fair share of racing games. We can tell you that right now. And Lego Racers stands out as one of the most unique, if nothing else.
Yeah, but it was honestly it was like really really good. As for other stuff that Lego Racers had going for it, as stated earlier by Werner, there's like tons of customization, and I'm not joking either when I say that.
Yeah,
You have a wide variety of different body builds to choose from, different bricks, all sorts of stuff, and you
eh,
can just go complete bonkers with how you make your car. It's insane, and that's another reason to appreciate Lego Racers.
yeah,
It,
because
it, it just had this fun and quirky setting behind it that just made it worth playing, and it's like amount of customization contributed to that fun and quirky feeling, you know. So there is that.
mhm.
I that's another reason why I like Lego Racers so much.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's a Lego game because, like, if you can put the bricks on your car, you can drive it, and that's unlike most any other game, especially during that time period. I mean, sure, you have your Mario Kart 64s, your Diddy Kong Racings, and your Mickey Speedway USA. Believe me, that game is really good and it's super underrated. Please play it. But Lego Racer stands out amongst all those games for just being the one that you can pretty much make your own experience.
And not only that, I don't think anyone else has mentioned this, but you can actually go as crazy as customizing your racer as well, believe it or
Exactly.
not, because it's Lego, so it would just give you the implication that you can build almost anything, and in this case it applies to even the racers themselves, so that's really cool.
You can make an explorer. You can make a tribal person. You can make Sans Undertale. You can do anything that you want.
Exactly. And another thing I'd like to mention is that you can also unlock parts from other racers. That's
Hmm.
another incentive to play it, because you can unlock other bits and pieces from other from like the opponent's cars and such. You
Yeah,
can unlock a lot of new stuff by the time you like get to the end of the game. You can even unlock stuff for beating time trials too. That's not a joke. You can actually unlock stuff by beating time trials. And I'm gonna say this right now: time trials aren't exactly the easiest to do. But you know, once you get the hang of time trials and stuff, by the time you've played it enough, you'll probably get really good at Lego Racers. Speaking of getting good and stuff, regarding Lego Racers difficulty curve, um, it's it kind of varies. At first, sometimes it can be incredibly easy, and other times it can be painfully difficult. It very much varies, and I feel as though the difficulty is very inconsistent. I feel like sometimes it should feel harder, and during other segments it should feel easier. It's really random.
one thing.
And oh
Yeah.
no, go on.
One thing we will give Lego Racers though, it doesn't have any of that RNG mess that most traditional kart racers have. Like they
Oh
can.
no, absolutely not. It can't have the RNG mets because all of the all of the different colored bricks are laid out in front of you, so you can kind of pick and choose what power up you want to go for. So it's not RNG at all.
It purely is based on the CPU skill.
Difficulty as well as your own skills.
And that is something that I really appreciate. It's something why I like games like Need for Speed Underground 2 or TD Kong Racing, all the things are laid out for you right then and there, and it's pretty much up to your own skill in order to beat your opponents. And that's something that is great in a racing game. Nothing feels worse than having to deal with a broken item at the last turn of the game and nothing you can do about it. I'm looking right at you, Mario Kart 8.
That's what makes it so vastly different from Mario Kart as a whole, is that the RNG thing is just completely gone. There's no RNG to speak of, aside from the CPUs themselves. That's about it. But the rest of the game is pretty fair. I mean, it's fair, but it's also unfair. There can be a very silly difficult spike as you get to, I don't know, someone like Basil the Batlord or Gypsy Moth. It gets really ridiculous once you get over to Basil the Batlord. Basil, in some cases, I imagine would make certain people want to rip their hair out of their scalp, like myself. I've had a lot of trouble with Basil, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I, managed to beat him several thousand times, it didn't really. It became a lot easier because I figured out what I needed to do. But I still feel like the difficulty curve should be more natural, and I feel like there should be a wider variety of tracks that a wider variety of tracks than the ones that are given to us. I feel like if they added more tracks in the game, or heck, if you could even build your own track or something. Actually, scratch that. I don't know if you could. I feel like that'd probably be a bit too much. But I feel like if you had, yeah, it'd be cool. But although it'd be asking for too much. But if we had a wider variety of tracks, I think the game would be way more solid. Along with its difficulty curve being more natural, the game would be it would be much less flawed than it is right now. But at the same time, it's still a great game. Even despite those flaws, it doesn't really take that much away from your overall experience.
No.
It's still fun, irrespective of that. So, I think Lego Racers is a game that's definitely worth your time, honestly. But, I cannot ignore those issues that it has. One other thing I'd like to bring up, though, this is completely unrelated to, the difficulty and lack of stages, is the music.
Oh.
This is the one thing that I think this is definitely the one prominent thing that I think it has also going over its sequel, by the way, which we might actually get around to talking about. We might actually get around to talking about that in the next episode or something. But
don't expect it to be anything positive, though.
Yeah, it's not going to be positive. But yeah, the music is definitely something that is just completely this completely tramples over regarding its sequel. Like this completely tops its sequel in terms of music, because it's so fun and quirky and memorable. It's like my lord, it is so good. And it's memorable.
Listen to the main menu theme, my dudes. Listen to that.
The best way I can put it, in terms of an analogy, how do I explain this? Think of the main menu theme from the first game to be like a Ferrari revving its engine, and then you look at the second game and listen to its main theme, its main theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like an old beat up, an old beat up, I'm trying to think of a car here specifically.
Okay, I got a good analogy for you. Lego Racers 1 is Lightning McQueen. Lego Racers 2 is Tow Mater. There we go.
Yeah, that's a easier way of putting it. I was gonna say specifically,
a Ferrari or
I'm trying to think of the name of the brand. Oh well, the point is, let's just say Lego Racers 2 is like an old beat up car you'd find at a junkyard.
So Tow Mater.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Lego Racers 1 is Lightning McQueen with 100% less Owen Wilson saying, "Wow."
Yeah, pretty much. that's the best way I can describe Lego Racers 1 and 2 and regarding its music. But overall, yeah, Lego Racers is an incredibly fun experience that I think anyone out there would enjoy.
Yeah,
And it is a gem that is just it is a gem that like I think anyone would want to play. And if you haven't played it, you're missing out on so much.
yeah, because like there's a lot here that can appeal to a whole lot of people. Not just if you're into kart racing games, like if you're into player customization, if you're into car customization. I know a lot of Need for Speed fans are totally into that thing, and yeah, so am I. But yeah, it's there's a lot here, and if you're willing to go with the slightly dated controls and lack of a four-player mode aside from multi-tap stuff, I think on the PS1 version, which that kind of stinks because CTR was on the console and that was eh. But aside from that, like, yeah, Lego Racers is surprisingly a really, really good game that we highly recommend because, like, there isn't a lot of racers like it, like we said before. Sure,
Absolutely not.
because it is the most unique. Not only does it have a very unique way of handling its power ups, not only does it have one of the biggest customizations in pretty much any racing game, not just in terms of like, cars and other stuff you can customize your driver as well, but also for the fact that, well, it's just solid. It's a good, solid license game that doesn't talk down to its audience. It lets them do what they want. If you have a specific type of car that you want to make, go for it. If you want to make a giant yellow cube that is running on like a medieval cart, go for it. If you want to make a car that is completely bare, go for it. If you want to make like an awesome race car, go for it. It's whatever you want it to be. And no other game
The
is like
sky is
that.
the limit, basically. There is no limit as to what you can build, aside from like I guess the blocks that the game gives you. But other than that, the sky is essentially the limit.
If you
You
can
can
play,
build any kind of car that you want, anything that you desire, any racer you desire, literally anything. Go nuts.
so if
Go just go ballistic. Build anything and make anyone.
yeah, that's the key. That's the main thing that keeps Lego Racers afloat, is that it's incredibly charming and with the extra customization options, especially with the healthy amounts of ones that you unlock through playing the game, it's honestly great because like you unlock everything throughout playing all the Grand Prix and you can change your car whenever you want. You can do different builds anytime that you want. So long as you and the cool thing is, you don't have to play as just that one racer. You could swap between the two and you can keep going however you want. And that's great. If you want to play with a completely bare car in one race and go through a giant yellow cube in another race and then with a super awesome race car in another race. That's your I'm not gonna say that I recommend you doing that, but if you want to do that, you can do that. So that's the beauty, and that's honestly what makes this game work and why it is so remembered through a lot of the people who played it way back when, either through the PS1 or N64 version, or more recently through the PC version and all that other stuff, because it's just solid and it's good.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything regarding Lego Racers that we've covered.
Yeah, overall, game's great. We recommend it, and if you've not tried it, like, Abandonware, my dudes, what are you doing? Get out there, do it. Wake up, get
Yep.
out there. Persona 5
Yeah.
references aside, but still.
Yeah. But anyways, that being said, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Saloon Podcast. If those are looking forward to more episodes, then please stay tuned for more. We're planning on making way more episodes down the line.
Yes, we
But
are.
anyways, oh no, sorry, go on.
Yeah, we are, and we're most likely going to be covering Lego Racers 2 in the next episode. That will be fun.
Potentially, but if not, we'll obviously let you know through the next episode title.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those who enjoyed this episode, yeah, please stay tuned for whatever else we have in store.
Yeah.
Anyways, see ya.
Take care, my fellow Lego racing pals, and other things. Sure, I'm struggling with an ending here.
Let's just end it off with that.
Yeah. Bye.